Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the second day of student seminar presentation of the 6th semester student conducted by Department of English, Santal, Bidroha, Sardha, Satabarshiki Mahavidyalaya. Last day, you have shown your courage and confidence by presenting your papers. Today, the second set of students will present their paper, and it is an advantage for the second day that you have already experienced. So without wasting the time, I'd like to repeat the rules and regulations regarding the seminar, that during presentation the presenter must keep on his video and audio mode and others will remain totally silent. And if there is any query or questions or observations, we will take these after the completion of the whole seminar process. And also, yesterday we have detected some mistakes in the form that you have not utilized your whole time that has been assigned for you, that is 5 minutes. After 4, we will give you the reminder. So try to use the full time today. Don't make the same mistake of yesterday. So by saying these few words, now I would like to begin today's seminar. The first presenter of today is Rajkumar Hembram. Rajkumar, start your presentation. Unmute first, then video model. Okay.
English department in SBSS Mahavidyalaya. My seminar presentation topic is on the theme of partition in poverty scene. Here I am presenting. Poverty scene, which describe the exchange of mental asylum inmates between India story. His subsequent story rarely focused on the theme of partition, exploring its human consequences from a range of different angles, describing the exchange of inmates of a Lahore mental asylum after partition. Poverty scene use the madness of the inmates as a mirror for the madness of the outside world. The partition of India in the summer of 1947 is the most unprecedented and barbaric event in the history of subcontinent, with catastrophic and inexplicable result. 10 million people had to leave their home and ancestral holding, and another million were slaughtered in most singular civil war in
Rajkumar, I am interrupting you. Just lower your camera because the upper part of your face is visible. Just lower the camera, okay, a little bit. Yes, now your face is visible.
Recently, there were no leader, no army force, no plan, only a spontaneous and visceral ferocity which possible were unanticipated, and whose legacy is evident even today. Provoked by the hooligan action of a few, the vengeance hooligan action that ordinary Hindus, Muslim and Sikh wreak and on each other, cold our social sense, disturbed our political judgment, and deranged our understanding of moral rightness. It was completely unbearable how the same Hindus and Muslims who had fight hand to people the very foundation of British Empire in the country had suddenly, in an inexplicable range of fanaticism and blind fervor, turned against each other, unleashing violence of incomprehensible dimension. The very grassroots, the villages of India, contaminating them with an intensive propaganda with regarded to freedom of a different kind than that imagined by most common people in India. The colonizers also played a crucial role in the drama that led to partisan census operation were carried out with demarcation based on religious identities, and even reformers were advocate among community central line. Moreover, as a trace nation after the Second World War, Britain hastiness to close their rule in India ended the whole process of partition occurring way before the scheduled time of June 1948. It need to be started here that the two-nation theory was resisted by majority of the people in India. The initial response to partition was of sheer disbelief. The absurd and arbitrary division of nation by those in power left the people in utter confusion. For many across community and religious barbaria who had lived together sharing a composite culture, at time marked by a flavor temper that cooled down and further cemented bond the large scale riot that broken out. Partition were almost beyond their comprehension. No one was able to make sense of that madness. It was clear that not only individual but entire communities could go insane. Finally, to what extent Gibbaris is symbolic of the nonsense of partition, the collapse of human communication in the midst of sheer madness, and the failure of language to have any meaning in such time of turmoil. In his demented incantation are encoded the entire range of fictional regime used to incite people to entertain or fantasies of offended or pride, retail.
1 minute is left.
Thank you, sir.
You have 1 minute, one more minute to finish. You have to finish within 1 minute.
Okay, sir.
Okay, proceed.
Sir, I have one more.
I think he has already. Oh, you have already finished.
Completed. Finished.
Okay. Thank you, Rajkumar, for your presentation. And you have presented your paper amidst the nature, I think, because we are hearing the chirping of the birds. Okay, sorry. The next presenter is Ritu Lohar. Ritu, start.
Good morning, sir. My name is Ritu Lohar. My presentation is blend of reality and fiction in Kidari. The narrator tells the story of Ramani, who is young, good-looking, and rides a rickshaw inherited from his father. He is seduced by a thief's widow. The narrator disapproves of this relationship. The narrator has a vested interest in snatching Ramani out of the windows clothing because he used to know Ramani's parents. The widow is described as attractive one Venus. She is 10 years old than Ramani and has 5 children from her previous marriage. She is poor as the thief did not leave her any money. The narrator tells the story of how Ramani and thief's widow met. One day Ramani rides his rickshaw into town. The thief's widow is in the banyas of the narrator insinuates that the thief's widow is a prostitute. The thief's widow and her children catch Ramani rickshaw. The narrator implies that the widow wants to prove that she can afford a ride in a rickshaw even though her children must be hungry. The narrator thinks that the widow decided then to seduce Ramani. After that, Ramani and the thief's widow are seen everywhere in public. The narrator is glad that Ramani's mother is dead because otherwise Ramani gets into bad company. widows are seen everywhere in public. The narrator is glad that Ramani's mother is dead because otherwise Ramani gets into bad company. He started drinking laser liquor in the back of the Iron's canteen. The narrator tries to persuade Ramani to say about from his new friend and neighbor, but in vain. Ramani friend were the embarrassed of the new youth movement. The narrator disproves the of them and is a betting up in which they might be involved. Ramani has no armband, but his new extend a strong influence on him. The urban youth always say that Ramani is handsome and should be a film star. This flattery and designate to can Ramani out of free drinks and money are cards. The widow only makes the situation worse by Ramani for dreams about becoming film star. The narrator once other overhears the widow flattering Ramani in public. From this day on, the narrator has a feeling in impending disaster. The next time the widow comes to the brains of the narrator decided to get involved of her sake of Ramani dead parents. The narrator used to social status to force the narrator to talk to him. The narrator tells the widow that she should
4 minutes is over.
She should stop seeing Ramani. The widow responds in the following way. From then on, the narrator takes less interest in Ramani in affairs, as he thinks that there is nothing more he can do. There are more interesting things happening in town. The local health officer has parked a white car in the street. The beacon guarded by the armed youth he used to steal. At this time, Ramani started dreaming about receiving a trans radio transistor radio as a gift from the central government in Delhi. Everyone is convinced that Ramani makes this up due to his
Okay, you have to finish now, Ritu. Okay. Ritu, you look very scared, confused, and less confident. Why are you? Why it is so? I don't know. Because yesterday they are so much confident. So okay, the next presenter is Riya Adhikary. Riya, proceed. Okay.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sirs, and good morning, my all brothers and sisters. My name is Riya Adhikary, and I am the students of 6th sem from English department. I am going to summarize my topic, that is on the multiple narrators in the Woman in White. So I will start. The Woman in White is a dramatic tale which is inspired by an actual criminal case, is told through multiple narrators. There in this in the Woman in White, there are 8 narrators in the works who are fairly a wealthy hypochondriac, here's a virtuous Walter Heidrich to tutor his beautiful niece and hair Laura and her homely courageous half-sister Marian Halcombe. Although heritage and Laura fall in love. She honors her late father, wise that she marries Percival Glade, a villain who is planned to steal her inheritance. Glade is assisted by sinister Count Fosco, a cultured, corpulent Italian who became the of subsequent villains in crime novels. Their plot is threatened by Annie Catherine, a mysterious fugitive from a mental asylum who dressed in white resembles Laura and knows the secret of Glade's illegitimate birth. Through the perseverance of Hartrich and Marian, Glade and Fosco are defeated and killed, allowing Heritage to marry Laura. Mr. Fairley, the woman housekeeper, and the narrator's Miss Harcombe's narrators express her own character in Woman in Fight. And the woman appearing in the story, Harcombe's narrator started after the lawyer Gilmore left Limard's manor. Gilmore was Fairley's family lawyer, in charge of making a document for Lorna to distribute her interest before and after her marriage. If she died, what sorts of people could have the right to inherit her property before and after she was married? The male protector left us one after another. The short and brief record expresses Harcombe's complicated feelings clearly. She and Lorna almost could not depend on anybody. Thank you, sir. I am done.
Okay. The same problem like Ritu. Okay. The next participant is Riya Patra. Riya.
Yes, sir. Good morning, all my respective teachers and all my sisters and brothers, and also all my dear students. I am Riya Patra, student of BA Honours 6th semester, Department of English. My presentation is Humor in the Story, The Two Lady Rams, written by Mulkraj Anand. Mulkraj Anand's short story, The Two Lady Rams, is an example of grandiloquence, irony and mock heroic. The confluence of these three generates humor in the story. The story revolves around a corrupt contractor, Lalajinder Ram, who has been conferred with the title of knighthood for the services rendered to the British Raj. Therefore, the governor invites him and the Lady Rams to attend the garden party. However, he has two wives, a fact which leads to an agitated domestic condition. He settles the conflict by taking both of them of the garden party. The use of language is a complicated and bombastic way to draw attention and make something seem important is called grandiloquence. Calling the governor of the province the king's representative, shadow of monarch, and calling governor and his wife His Excellency and Her Excellency are such examples. Besides the evocative description of the quarrel between the two wives with the use of phrases such as changes were done, barricades were raised, and if gunpowder was not used, it was because women in India have not yet learnt all the tricks of AI Capone as the men have through the talkies are other example. The inbuilt mock heroism adds on the hilarity. Lalla Jindaram has been conferred with the title of knighthood, but he is a corrupt contractor involved in bribe taking and forgery. During the 1930s, when many leaders, including Rabindranath Tagore, returned the knighthood title, he accepted it merely. But the title is merely a decoration of his name because he does not even have direct access to the governor. He pretends to be a Qatarli seller to the meat ADC. Besides, unlike the conventional heroes, his father was an ordinary shopkeeper and he was able to amass wealth either by committing crimes or because the enormous dowry brought by his elder wife, Sukhi. It is also shameful on his part which question him which type of knight is he who drags away and his wife by pulling her hair to her quarter. The vivid elucidation of irony accentuates humor. Ironically, he is looking for solution regarding domestic conflict brought from higher authority, but he gets a simple and honest answer by his chauffeur. Secondly, the governor is called Holy of Holies, but he is carefree, corrupt and unfit to rule as he does not even know about the hardship that its subordinates are going through. It is just mock heroic and irony, but other instance to generate humor, the translation of Punjabi expression into plain and literal English like eater of her masters. I will put every hair on your heads, gentlemen, and don't eat my life. Motivates hilarity. In addition to this, the sudden shift of Jindaram's 5'5" corpulence of 6'6" side plays its part in amusement. He is trying to see the elevated endorsement received by him after being conferred with the title, but he is unable to accept this because deep within his conscience he is able to understand the reality of himself. There are also other snatches of pure comedy scattered in the story. The protagonist is Sir Jinda to the younger wife Sakundala because she only introduced romance in his life to her name suggests in the history of folklore. On the other hand, he is Jindaram to the elder wife Suki because she raised the level of his living standard and brought comfort to his life in the form of big dowry. These events juxtapose the intricately woven ridicule and sublime to so mockery. Towards the end of the story, Anand calls Jindaram and to his two wives, the three staunch pillars of the British Raj. In the three staunch pillars are army, police and civil servants, but he addresses them as so to the mark point of the reality that British would never have been able to reign in India so fairly without Indian collaborators like Jindaram. Anand very well catches authentically the condition of servicemen in the Indian society through the story. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you Riya for your presentation with confidence. Now we move to the next presenter who is Shreya Kundu. Shreya, be ready and present
Good morning, sir. And to all my friends, I am Shreya Kundu, student of English department, 6th semester. My presentation is understanding Jivananda Das's poetic sensibility. I am trying to summarize it. As the sculpture of Michelangelo occupied the place in the sphere of art, or the paintings of Leonardo da Vinci in the world of art, so is the place of poetry of Jivananda Das in the universe of Bengali literature, especially his two poems, Bonamata Sen and I Shall Return to This Bengal. Jivananda Das's poetry has the power to transport one to the obscure region of one's being and sensibility beyond the everyday bounds of sense and reason. He achieves it characteristically by endowing mystical attributes of mundane, everyday objects of nature, especially the ordinary objects that we see in and around Bengal. This rootedness of his imagination and sensibility is what makes Jivananda Das a unique poet. Megha before perhaps was there a poet in Bengal who, like Jivananda, time and again with the so-called lowly and unattractive creatures and plants like Indur, Shalik, Pencha, Kak, Chorui, Ghas, Akant, and so on, ordinary and specifically ordinary yet significant. Jivananda's association with nature and specifically that of Bengal is more specific everyday, ordinary and common, but at the same time sincere and mysterious. While teaching in various places, he seemed to be restless in search of peace, which he eventually found in the nature of Bengal. He found the peace in the love for soil of Bengal. This realization, this discovery make him say, I shall return to this Bengal to the Dhansiris bank. The opening line explicates the poet's personal wish to be born again after death in the lap of the nature of Bengal. As it were, the poet says, I shall return to this Bengal. Jivananda Das is a master craftsman to create images. Both visual and olfactory images are combined in various stages in his poems. For example, in I Shall Return to This Bengal, Autumn Harvest Land, the phrase wears the harvested crops accumulated in the yards of villagers as well as the harvested land in the autumn season. Moreover, the autumn harvest land creates an olfactory sensation. One of the most important characteristics of Jivanananda Das's poetry is that he can transform a common thing to a unique one by his power of verification, by his power of image creation, and above all by his deep emotional attachment with these things. Buddhadev Bose, in talking of Jivanananda Das's poetry, rightly says, he brings us no breath of heaven nor blast of hell, draws up no matter from unfathomed mind. What he does, to intensify that everyday experience of our sins to a point where it seems transformed. Miraculous, he is important because he has brought a new tone of feeling. The most important aspect about Jivananda's perception of life is that in making the ordinary to extraordinary and in making the animals of lower kinds like owl, mouse, crow, duck, shalik and so on desirable and capable of bringing out the poetic inspiration in him. He unites himself, his poetic self finds itself fulfilled in discovering this irresistible pulsating life and beauty of nature in the nature of Bengal and in being part of it. As he says, I shall return to this Bengal. Thank you, sir.
Shreya, you are in a very hurried manner. Although it's good, and sometimes your voice becomes very low, but okay, it's very good one. Thank you for your presentation. Now the next presenter is Soumen Mahata. Soumen, be ready. Soumen Mahata.
Good morning everybody. My name is Soumen Mahata. I am a student of English Department 6th semester SBSS Mahavidyalaya. Today the topic of my presentation is the blend of reality and fiction in the free radio. And I am going to say something about it. It is undeniable and universally acknowledged that Salman Rushdie's projection of reality and fiction is one of the important aspects of his writing. The portrayal of reality and fiction is shown in various notable works of Salman Rushdie, as Magic Reality in Satanic Verses and in the Midnight Siren. And even in this short story, the free radio, we can have a clear view of the contrast between reality and fiction. It emphasizes the importance of having clarity and being able to understand the aspects of reality and fiction in our life. Most importantly, we as the readers can easily relate to the importance of this theme in our day-to-day life. In this short story, Rushdie makes the mention of the real historical event that takes place in India during the emergency period from 1975 to 1977. During this time, the free radio scheme was launched by the government, and it aimed at maintaining population control in India. And for Ramani, the radio is of great importance, and when he talks about a killer named Lakshman and who had already got the radio from the government, and Ramani wishes to got the radio, and as he states that it will be excellent for him to get the radio, and Ramani constantly think about the radio, and the story the free radio reflects on the ability to think clearly and self-deception. where Ramani adjusts his way of thinking in such a manner that he deceives himself unknowingly. We can also see Ramani puts all his trust on the radio, forgetting all about his worries and pain. But at the end, he realizes that his act of imagination is potentially fatal, and it points to the dangers of delusions and his ultimate destruction as a result of his foolishness, fantasy, and innocence. Ramani's dream of becoming a film star is another aspect of his utopia. After constantly being flattered by his armed band friends and after reinforced by the widow, Ramani constantly thinks about becoming a film star. And this dream about being a Hollywood star can be compared with a weird fantasy about the free radio. And this clearly shows that Ramani has the inability that he cannot embrace the reality and deal with failures. So there can hardly be an other doubt that one of the story's main theme is a relationship between reality and fiction. And Ramani easily believes in fantasies about becoming a film star or receiving a free radio from the government. The government for undergoing through vasectomy or sterilization process. The boundary between fiction and reality almost blurred when Ramani thinks that already when Ramani thinks about already Ramani thinks that pretending to already have the radio. And the imaginary radio here in this story can be read as a comment on the dangers of propaganda. In conclusion, the free radio may seem simplistic in the story, a mere gift from the government, but in reality, it has developed extensively through diction, sentence structure, most importantly, the use of the free radio as a symbol in moving the plot along. The free radio not only represents the delusional sentiment of Ramani, the weakness of the widow, but these symbols it takes on escapism and achievement and loss, restrictions of sex, delusion, the criticism of the government, deceptions all work together to emphasize the author's message on the importance of being realistic, wary of the consequence of one's actions, and negligence of the opinions of the aged, and most importantly to understand the difference between reality and fiction and its significant implementation in our daily life. Thank you, sir, for listening to me. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Soumen, for your confident presentation, and overall your presentation is very good. So now we move to the next presenter, that is Srikrishna Karak. Srikrishna, you begin your presentation.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Srikrishna Karak. I am the student of BA Honors 6th semester and Department of English. My presentation is Human Rights Study, the So I am presenting. I will start Muslim story. The two letters is one example of grandiose places and we are not knowing the confluence of things. They are generated humor in the story. The story revolves around a corrupt and contractor, Narayandaram, who has been contracted with the title of the Knighthood for the services he rendered to the British Raj. Therefore, the governor invites him and the lady Ram to attend the garden party. However, he has created a trap which is to agitated domestic conditions. He settles the conflict by talking both of them to the garden party. The use of language in a conflicted and domestic way to draw attention and make something seem important. His poem consequences calling the governor of the Korean kings, representative shadow the monarch, and calling the governor and his wife, His Excellency and Her Excellency, and his wife. Besides the echo-made description of the quarrel between the two waves, with the use of the stage, started the trenches, their dogs, barricades raised, and if gunpowder was not used, it was become when the area had not yet run. Trees all kept on and have through the talkings other examples in built what imaging and on reality he learned in the round making confident with the title the right but he is a corrupt contractor involved in the talking and forgery during the 1950 when many leads including running the last or returned the knighthood title. he accepted his marriage, but the title El Marili a dead person on his name because he does not even have direct access to the governor. He pretends to the culture is seller to meet the anything to decide, unlike the conventional heroes. His father was an ordinary shopkeeper and he was able to amass wealth either by committing crimes or because of the enormous dowry got by his leader wife. It is also shameful on the part which question which type of night he who drugs his wife by pulling her hair to her quarter. The village elucidation or irony humor ironically he is looking for solution authority but he gets a simple and honest answer by secondly the government is called or the village but he is a confident corrupt and unfit to rule as he does not even know about the and chiefs that the subordinates are doing so. It is not just more heroic and ironic, but rather instant to generate humor. The translation of the Punjabi expression into the plan and literal English, like of our master, are cool every year or a year fate and gentlemen and do not keep my life. Motivates hilarity and addition to this the sudden shift of Jindaram's 5 foot 5 in to 6 foot 6 high place and is part in when he is trying to see the elevated
Srikrishna, you have to finish within 1 minute.
compare with the thank you sir.
Okay, you have finished. I have said that you have to finish within 1 minute. Okay. Sorry for the mistake. There is a mistake that I have skipped a name from the chronology. Now it's time for Soumen Saren. Okay. Before Srikrishna Karak, there is Soumen Saren, but I have skipped it. Now it's the turn for Soumen Saren. Soumen Saren, are you there? Are you present? Soumen Saren. Yes, begin.
Hello everyone, good morning. Myself Soumen Saren, BA English Honours, 6th semester. My presentation topic is conflict between love and duty in Abhigyan Shakuntalam by Mahavi Kalidas. At the beginning of the play, love and duty are seen as conflicting with each other and duty is also used as an excuse to follow love. For example, when Susanta first sees Shakuntala, he sees something remarkable about his devotional to the religious duties of King Shakuntala. To him, Shakuntala's desired physical beauty was lost in his aesthetic life. Meanwhile, Shakuntala's first emotional experience seemed to him incompatible with lifelong religious piety. Shakuntala wonders as he estranges himself in the way of Susanta attested. But how did it happen that when I met this man I was so moved by the emotion of the disagreement with religious life? Another transformantly Susanta used his care, royal duties, kings were to protect the observed with special care to protect the conduct of religious practitioners as a cover for romantic aspiration. He told Shakuntala and his friends, I have been appointed Minister of Religious Welfare and in that capacity I have come to the sacred forest to ensure that your conduct is not hindered in any way. Here Susanta is not actually combining duty and love, rather he is using duty as a light to follow love. At this stage, as described the stage instructions, Shakuntala shows all the embarrassment of romantic attraction. He clearly sees Susanta use and at any rate he is aware that his own religious devotion cannot be hindered by his attraction to this person, cannot be helped. Before leaving group, Susanta reflected to himself, suddenly the Srikrishna does not seem as attractive. The truth is I cannot get Shakuntala out of my head. Susanta's responsibilities in the capital city no longer appealed to him. Going against the grain of his now lustful desires, responsibilities and desires. Apparently, do not together. In the middle of the play, there is the struggle to combine love and duty in the performance. In the second law, Susanta was asked to guard the ashram a few nights.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Soumen, thank you for the presentation. Now Sujay Saren will present before us. Sujay Saren, the next presenter is Sujay Saren. Sujay, begin.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sujay Saren, student of 6th semester of our department. I have chosen the topic Indianness in the poem Night of the Scorpion by Nissim Ezekiel. So I will try to present my paper. This paper is attempt to find how Nissim Ezekiel has beautifully used the Indian experiences throughout his poetry. So let's start. Night of the Scorpion, Nissim Ezekiel is by Nissim Ezekiel, published in the exact Earth Name in 1965, is one of the finest poems in recent Indian English literature. The poem has been universally admired for its beautiful depiction of a common Indian situation, Indian culture, and for its vivid and forceful imagery. It clearly shows that Ezekiel is a very Indian poet, rooted in Indian soil and actually aware of the common human situations and of day-to-day Indian life. Though Ezekiel has been criticized as being not authentically Indian and on account of his Jewish background and urban outlook, he could see the essential India in the urban climate of Bombay, now Mumbai, where he was born and brought up. In the poem, the speaker or the poet, who might be as a detached observer, looks the situation over and describes the incidents very vividly, which shows the very Indianness or Indian sensibility. The theme of the poem is the experience common enough in Indian and rural areas. On a rainy night, speaker's mother stung by a scorpion. Like the description of the very realistic Indian situation during rainy season, the unity of Indian civilization or the Indian community is also expressed in the poem. When the poet's mother was suffering from the pain, the neighbors were anxious about the mother of the poet. However, they all rushed in the speaker's house as swarms of flies. Citizens of various faiths, Christians, Hindus, Muslims, and Jews came in large numbers to see her and prayed for her.
I think it's a technical glitch. Sujoy, do you hear me? Sujoy, the connection has been lost, perhaps.
Okay, I can. I think next presenter you can.
Okay.
Next presenter.
So we can call him later. Okay, Sujoy, if you can hear us, then I am telling you that we are moving to the next presenter. If you have anything to say more, because you have already finished your 4 minutes of presentation. So if you have anything more to say, then you can take a minute or two. But for the time being, we are moving to the next presenter, who is Susanto Das. Susanto, you begin your.
Good morning, sir, and all my friends. My name is Susanto Das.
My presentation is humor in the story The Two Lady Rams. I am trying to summarize my topic. Mulk Raj Ananda's short story The Two Lady Rams is an explain to ridiculous irony and mock heroic. The confluence of these three generates humor in the story. The story revolves around the ordinary shopkeeper Lala Jindaram, who has been compared with the title of knighthood for the service rendered to the British Raj. Therefore, the governor invites him and the Lady Rams to attend the garden party. However, he has two wives which leads to an agitated domestic condition. He settles the conflict by taking both them to garden party. However, he has two wives which leads an hesitated bombastic way to draw attention, make something seem important is called ridiculous. Calling the governor of this province the king's representative shadow of monarch, and calling governor and his wife his excellency and her excellency is one such example. Lala Jindaram has been compared with the title of knighthood, but he is the correct contractor involved in the bridge taking the February. During the 1930, when many leaders, including Rabindranath Tagore, returned the knighthood title, accepted, but the title is merely decoration on his name because he does not even have direct access to the governor. Ironically, he is looking for the solution regarding domestic from higher authority. But he gets the simple and honest answer by his secondly the governor is called the holy and holies, but he is carefree the culprit of this until rule, as they does not even know about the handships that are the going of true. It is not just mock heroic and irony, but other instance is generate humor. The translation is Punjabi expression into the pain, the eternal English, like the eater of her masters. I shall pull the every hair on your head, gentle woman, and I don't eat my life motivates heredity. He is the able understand reality of himself. There are also other snatch your pure comedy stated in the story. The protagonist is the Sir Jinda younger's wife Sukuntala, because she only introduced the romance of life as her name in the story of Flokas. On the other hand, he is Jindaram to the elder wife Sukhi because she realized level of his the level standard brought comfort to his life in the form of this big dowry. These events, the gestapo's even the ridicule, the sublime to the show the mockery. Towards the end of the story, the Anand calls Lala Jindaram and his two wives, the three staunch pillars of the British Raj. Interestingly, the three staunch pillars are army, police, and civil servant, but he addressed them as so to mark the point on the reality that British would never have been able to region India so freely without the Indian collaborators like Jindaram Anand very well catches authentically the condition of these servants in the Indian society through this story. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Susanta, thank you for your presentation. And now it's time for Suvrajit Nandi, who is the last candidate of the seminar presentation. Suvrajit, begin your presentation. Yes, you are audible and visible.
Good morning everyone. My name is Sukrit Nandi, student of 6th semester BA English Honours. Now I am going to share my slides. Would you please confirm whether my slides are visible?
Yes, it is perfectly visible.
Today the topic of my presentation is all about conflict between love and duty in Ovikana Shakuntalam by Kalidasa. The outline of my today's presentation is given in this slide. Now I will briefly discuss about the greatest poet Kalidasa. Kalidasa was a renowned classical Sanskrit writer, widely regarded the greatest poet and dramatist. His work are mainly based on the Vedas, the Mahabharata and the Purana. This slide presents the key facts of the play Ovikana Shakuntalam. Now I will provide a brief introduction of the play Ovikana Shakuntalam. Ovikana Shakuntalam is a well-known Sanskrit play by Kalidasa. It is considered to be the best of Kalidasa's work. It is the first ever Indian play to be translated into any Western language. Sir William Jones first translated it into English in 1789. Literally, the meaning of the name of the play is the recognition of Shakuntala by a token. The play is set in 7 acts. Here I am showing the character map of the play. First, Shakuntala was the adopted daughter of Rishi Kanna. Second, Shakuntala's husband was King Susanta and son was Sardha. Shakuntala cast by Rishi Durvasa. Shakuntala's friends are Unusua and Priyambada. Shakuntala lived with her son in the hermitage of Rishi Marich. Here in this slide, now I will talk about the heroine of the play Shakuntala. Shakuntala, the daughter of the great saint Viswamitra and the heavenly damsel Menoka. Shakuntala fell in love with King Susanta and married her. In this slide, I present the dramatis personae. Since the time is limited, I am not going to read the text. Now I will give the brief synopsis. Ovikana Shakuntalam is the story of King Susanta who, while on a hunting trip, meets and falls in love with Shakuntala, the adopted daughter of Sheikh Kanna, and marries her. A misfortune occurs when the king is summoned back to the court. Shakuntala, pregnant with a child, inadvertently offended with the visiting sage Durvasa and receives a curse by which Susanta will forget her completely until he sees the royal signet ring she has left with her. On her trip to Susanta's court in an enhanced state of pregnancy, she loses the ring and returns unrecognized. The ring is found by a fisherman who recognizes the royal seal and returns it to Susanta, who regains his memory of Shakuntala and sets out to find her. After more struggle, they are finally reunited. In the first picture, you can see the love of Shakuntala and Susanta, and the second, Rishi Durvasa cast Shakuntala, and the third one, Susanta could not recognize Shakuntala. And in this picture, we see Bharata playing with lions. The major theme we find in Ovikana Shakuntalam are as follows: love and duty, the forest and the city, art and the connoisseur. Now I will discuss conflict between love and duty in Ovikana Shakuntalam, which is the main topic of today's discussion. Not only the Shakuntala, Barbara Solarvilla writes, but all of Kalidasa's plays focus on the critical tension between desire and duty that is aesthetically manifest in the relation of the erotic sentiment to the heroic. The tension inherent in Shakuntala, in other words, is between the four Purathas, the aim of man, duty, desire, wealth and freedom, and not necessarily personal conflict. In the case of both Susanta and Shakuntala, duty and passion collide head to head. Susanta is pulled between his royal responsibilities and his husbandly responsibilities. Shakuntala finds herself in the middle of her aesthetic responsibilities and her wifely wants. Just as Susanta is a symbol of both royalty and passion, so is Shakuntala a symbol of both asceticism and passion. As the sage's curse makes known, negative consequences can come of subjugation one's passion to one's other responsibilities. On the other hand, the ring of recollection point towards a possible integration of both love and duty. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Suvrajit, for your innovative presentation, and all well that ends well. Is a new kind of experience that a student of our department has presented his slide or PPT to us. Okay, thank you for the presentation. And now the session is open for questions. So the participants or our respected teachers are asked to ask anything if there is any query in them. So it is open for questions.
Can I say something?
Yes, okay, proceed.
Actually, I know that all our dear students are living in the remotest quarter of Jungle Mall area, and very fantastically they have presented themselves, and it is highly appreciating overcoming such technical glitches and technical problems and different challenges they have presented very finely. Many of you, about dear students, have discussed about partisan literature in today's seminar also, in previous day also, and all you know that there are several aspects of partisan literature of India particularly, like trauma for displacement, pain and suffering, homesickness for motherland. There are so many things, and politics of communalism. But I want to focus women in partisan literature is a rare issue, or reading partisan literature through a female lens. Have you any reading experience about women writer in partisan literature? Is there any such experience among all of you, or your students can share?
Mahasukha Devi.
Yes, very finely said. But partisan literature, Mahasukha Devi has written extensively for the Dalits, for the tribals, their problems, but about the partisan of the nation. Have you read anything from Mahasukha Devi? I think it is not the appropriate answer. Just I am saying that I have read one book, and it is a very rare book, Ice Candy Man, and it was written by Bapsi Sardha, and this is actually considered to be the Pakistani perspective. You can find the Pakistani perspective in this book. Sardha is an internationally recognized author from Pakistan, and I think he lives in Texas now. And Ice Candy Man is usually found on lists of most read partisan novels, and that's actually how I find out about it. This book was first published by Penguin in 1988, and it's been a while. So there are several editions of those books, but I wanted to point out that this book is actually known as Cracking India in America. I think this is a very best example. In this book we can find the basically a fuel visualization of partisan in this book, and there are very few, very rare experiences are there. Okay, fine. Next, you didn't want to say anything about this.
Yes, Kutuba, thank you for your observation and for your insightful comments. Here I would like to join, I would like to add something that Clear Light of the Day by Anita Desai of Pakistan novel. So Anita Desai can be regarded as a Pakistan very good novelist. And also, if we call it apart from Ice Candy Man by Vapsi Siddha, there is Amrita Pritam, writer Amrita Pritam in her Pinjar. There is a extensive narration of partisan and its pain, suffering that have been meted out to the people of both the nation, both that is divided.
That's the observation from female lens.
Yes, female lens. Yes, it's from female lens. Okay, thank you for this, for all these. Now, if any other questions, now I would like to ask a question to Suvrajit. Suvrajit, your presentation is good, and the question is that you the topic of your seminar presentation is conflict between love and duty, but you have focused only the love and duty between Susanta and Shakuntala. Is the only the two characters from Kalidas's play have only reflected that thing, or any other characters are there for reflecting such things? Have you found any other characters who can be called or who are also added to this particular theme, that is love and duty?
Sir, Rishi Konno.
Okay, yes, Rishi Konno. So you have skipped all these things. Rishi Konno, there is love. If you call the love, Shakuntala's two companions like Anuswa, Pyongora, they are also the characters who
they are very beautiful.
They are also adds to this theme also. And duty of a
love of friendship,
duty of a friend, duty of the mother. Mother means though she is invisible to all of us, Menoka, but she had performed her duty throughout the play. We have seen her unseen presence throughout the play. So she has protected her daughter like a true mother, though she is not present in the whole play. So okay, so you have to cover all these things. Not only you have only focused on the characters like Susanta and Shakuntala. So you have to, when you have written a paper and on the theme, then the characters who are there and who are reflecting that thing, you have to focus on it. Okay, that's very good. And if any other questions are Arubabu, if you have any observation or questions regarding these, then you can ask them.
Today we had a wonderful session. Some of the students presented very beautifully, particularly the presentation by Suvrajit Nandi was a new experience for all the students. The students of the second semester and the fourth semester, they would be benefited by his presentation, the mode that he chose to present his paper. And also Soumen Mahata also presented in a very beautiful manner. I like to suggest the students who presented their paper to visit YouTube later and see their presentation. That will also help them to present their papers in a better manner in future. And an important thing is to remember that when you present your paper, it is not merely a reading of your text or something that you have written down. So you have to focus on the issue which you are addressing. Some of you hurried your presentation. That means some of you completed your presentation very early, some of you spoke in a very hurried manner. And one of the students, I'm not going to name him, he was also moving as if he was on a swing, forward and backward. So avoid these issues when you present your paper in coming days. And one technical aspect that while presenting your paper, you also, when you are opening your video, your camera, you have to place the camera in such a manner that you are visible, particularly or properly. Now, these students of 6th semester, you have read a particular some of the works of partition literature, but as Goaltore Babu and Soumen Babu suggested, there are female writers who have wonderfully presented the beautiful aspects of the women in partition literature, particularly from the women point of view. This is important, or this becomes important, because the women are the group that suffers most in partition, and you have a text that focuses on the plight of women in the partition literature of your syllabus, though it is written by a male writer, Manik Bandyopadhyay, the final solution. But the focus of this story is on a woman, and you know that it is women and the children. They are the subject of what I should say, that they are prime subjects of
Violence.
who become the violence, and the women who become the victims.
Victims and subject of all attacks.
And they suffer the most. And their plights are brought out beautifully by the writers. But the female writers will give you a better glimpse, because it is from a feminist perspective or from a woman's perspective that they will be presenting these cases. So we have papers from all the four areas that were all the four papers that we have in the syllabus. That means Indian classical writing, Indian writing in English, the detective story, the science fiction and the detective literature, and also from partition literature. So like yesterday, today also we have papers from all the four papers that you have in your syllabus, though most of the papers were from Indian writing in English. We have 6 papers out of the 11 papers that were from core 14 paper of your syllabus. So I wish you all the best for future, and I expect that the students of the 2nd and the 4th semester will be benefited greatly, as this is a new experience for them. And in future, when they will have their turn to present papers, they will take lessons from today and yesterday's program, and they would make corrections, and they would present their papers in the best possible manner when their turn would come. So that is all, and over to Soumen Babu or Goaltore Babu to sum up. Thank you.
I was only a few words. Just
Okay.
only 2 lines.
Okay.
They have done very well, and they have set an example for our college also, from such a remote place. I think they have done very well, but pretty done, undone, vast, politically we can say it, and sky is the limit. So I wish you all the best. Just march ahead with your courage and confidence, and follow the advices given by our teachers, and do well for your future. Okay.
Thank you, Goaltore, for your beautiful words and summing up in a very proper manner. Sir, একটা জিনিস আমি একটু বলছি ওদেরকে, যে for the partition literature from women perspective, the book by Urvashi Bhutalia, The Other Side of Silence, it's a must-read book. The Voices from the Partition of India. So
very interesting.
It is also, for the sake of information, I would like to share that it is in our college library, though we are not in a very right time, so we can't use access library now, but it is in our library. So if you have
they can also see some films, videos, films and videos.
There are so many.
Are also very available in YouTube.
Yes.
Because film adaptations are now very available in YouTube.
Yes, yes, yes.
And these are very much interesting. This will encourage them to read the texts.
Yes, okay, thank you all. Thank you, the head of the department, honorable head of the department, and our other colleague, Koutubda, for joining us for such a long time. And the good sign for our department is that the students from our department are coming out of their cocoon. They have exposed them very well. So exposure is very important, because if you don't face the problems, if you don't face the reality, then you can't prosper in your life. And it is a kind of platform. So though it's a small platform, but you have to use this platform for your future, because in future you have to face such kind of situation that you have to present your paper in each and every semester in your higher studies. So it is a beginning, and your beginning is very good, as we have received the comments and observations from our respected teachers, that the beginning is good, and we all know that morning shows the day. So we wish all the best and a very prosperous future. So thank you all. Thank you once again.
Okay,
now sir has shared the attendance link in the chat box. So you have to mark your attendance in the attendance box. Yes, sir.
Yes, as you and Kotu Babu told that it was a wonderful experience to have all the students presented their papers in such a beautiful manner. And as we all are aware that our institution is situated at a rural backdrop, and in spite, and all the students, perhaps most of the students at least, they stay at rural areas, and in spite of their places, they have presented their papers in a beautiful manner. And we had only a few minor glitches, so the technical issues were also not many. So both the sessions, today and yesterday, it was great for us, and hope the students who have presented their papers and the students who were there as participants, they also had a wonderful, enjoyable experience. And it was also very encouraging, as Kautuk Babu and Shobhan Babu have stated earlier, for the teachers to see the students come up in such a manner. And in both days we have more than 60 students present as participants, and it was encouraging. And I think what you have done for the Department of English would set an example to all the other departments. And after we upload our videos in our YouTube channel, because the Department of English has a YouTube channel and most of you have subscribed the channel, so we would in future share the links for both these seminars with the faculties of our college, so that the teachers may also have a look at your performance. So all the best, and we wish you a very bright future for all the students. And thank you very much for your participation. And also I express my gratefulness to Shobhan Babu and Kautuk Babu for being present with you in this occasion, or on this occasion. So I think with all these words we may conclude today's session, and in future we would meet you with such programs for 4th or 2nd semester. So thank you and have a wonderful day.